Ryan Moss, I think I said this before. This is a critical point that I need to make because we're talking about all kinds of strategy and stuff. Ryan says, you've alluded to that a more serious American military engagement could destroy ISIS, to which I agree. What would the post-victory occupation look like under your plan, and how would it address the Syrian refugee crisis? There would be no post-victory occupation. I am absolutely sick of occupying these countries. I'm sick of losing people for people that don't want to fight for their own freedom. I think we won the war in Iraq. I think the Iraqi people, for a period of maybe a year, they actually were living in a world where they could vote, and they saw some of the benefits. And we couldn't even maintain the same kind of status of forces agreement that we've had in Germany for 70 years and in Korea for 60. We couldn't even do that. We left. Everything fell apart. We threw that victory away. But I've learned some lessons from this, I think, and I think the Iraqi people, back in 2004 or 5, you remember when they first voted, and Al-Qaeda and all of the insurgents said, if you go to the polls, we're going to kill you all. And there were just endless pictures of Iraqi citizens holding up their fingers with the die that indicated that they'd voted. That's when I really had faith in this whole thing. And I do believe, and I still believe, that these people want to live better lives and live more or less in not in the kind of freedom we understand, because they don't have the cultural background for it. But they want that kind of a life, and they were ready to risk their lives for it. I think they kind of earned it. But when we leave, I thought going into Iraq was the right thing to do. I now realize it was a mistake, and the reason it was a mistake was because I forgot about Democrats. I thought that war was winnable. It was winnable, and it was won. Like I said, no casualties for the last 5 months. People had a functioning government. People were voting. And then I'd forgotten about Democrats. We fought the Vietnam War for 11 years. When it was over, after we decided to start bombing them where they lived, when it was over, they were back behind the original starting line, and South Vietnam was still independent and maybe corrupt, but still free. And then the Democrats came in 2 years later and destroyed the victory. Because it was a victory. It was a horrible, bloody, pointless victory, but if the war started in Vietnam with them north of the border and then invading the South, and if the war ends with them north of the border and the South is still free, that's a win. It's an awful, bloody, stupid win. It was a worst fought war in the history of this country, but it was a win. And then 2 years later, after Watergate, the Democrats just threw the win away. And they threw the win away in Iraq. So now I don't believe in this anymore, because while I do believe that it is possible to do some of these things, I don't believe that this half of the country, that this Democratic Party will ever let us win. We'll win, and then they'll throw the piece away. They'll throw it away. So, what does the post attack occupation look like? There is no occupation. This Colin Powell doctrine, I never believed. I never believed that we owed it to Iraq to rebuild Iraq. I just thought it was in our interest. Bush said, and I think he was right, we need to provide an example in the heart of the caliphate that people can live a different kind of life than the one that is being offered to them by Al-Qaeda. And I think we did it. I think we actually did it for a while. So now I realize that even if we were willing to do this, I have two fundamental problems with this. I do believe that on balance the Iraqi people had the courage to do this. I think the Iraqi people in large numbers risked their lives for freedom. A lot of these Iraqi soldiers were horribly tortured by the insurgents. I think they'd earned the freedom that we helped them get, and then we threw it away. But I'm not convinced that this is going on in the rest of the world. I'm not convinced that Syria is this. And this kind of gets to the refugee issue. Not just the Syrian refugees in general. I am very concerned about false information. We'd heard a lot of reports that many of these, if not most of these so-called refugees were combat-aged males. Then I saw reports that said, no, this isn't true. But let's just say for a moment that there are more males there than females or children. What does that say about somebody? What does it say about a 20-year-old man who comes here seeking asylum and doesn't bring his wife or his kids or his grandparents or his mother or whatever? What kind of person is that? What kind of person did he trample over women and children in order to get on the boat or the plane or whatever? Did he push them out of the way? Did he knock them down? You know, if these were families, and I truly do not know the percentage of them that are families. Certainly many of them are families, but these guys who came here by themselves, these even if it's just one of them. If you're here, if you're a fighting aged male and you're here by yourself, who did you leave behind and why? And what does that say about you? So I don't believe in an occupation anymore. I think the thing to do is just to hit them and mow the lawn. Hit them and you just incapacitate their structure militarily, and then you go in there and hit them again. You don't wait till they start attacking. You get on the, you man the outpost, right? You man the observation post. They're starting to gain a little strength. Fantastic. Boom. Let's go in there. We broke it, and we're not buying it. We broke it, and if it starts giving us trouble, we'll break it again, and we'll keep breaking it again, and we'll break it as long as we have to. And when you people stop attacking the rest of the world, then we'll stop breaking it. Because that's what you are. You're at war with the world. That's what your religion commands you to do. So, yeah, that's what I think. No occupation under any circumstances. If we have to put soldiers in there to clean them out, I'm in favor of that. They go in there, they kill these bastards, they get out.